the name to remember.
These are television and Twitter savvy warriors, these student activists fighting for common sense gun reforms. I think Donald Trump and the NRA have met their match. Am I watching too much TV?
A lot of these members of Congress have fired an AR-15 and they've heard the loud sound of that weapon, but most of them haven't been on the receiving end of that sound like these kids have. I think it's a much larger question that's being put to the country through the voices of these kids. What type of country do we want to live in?
New reaction on the release of the Democrats' memo outlining how the FBI requested a warrant to carry out surveillance on Carter Page, a former Trump campaign official. Here is House Intel Committee member Jim Himes.
Carter Page was of interest for his connections to the Russians for years before 2016. October of 2016, he'd had all sorts of contact. He'd been with the Russians. He'd been interviewed by the FBI. And so there's a long history of which the dossier is just a small part of that application to the Republican judges for a warrant.
Now, the Democrats' memo states that information on Page from the Christopher Steele dossier never reached the FBI until after the FBI started its investigation. Joining me now is Naveed Jamali, a former FBI double agent, author of How to Catch a Russian Spy, and an MSNBC contributor. Naveed, the memo says that Page had been on the FBI's radar for past interactions with Russian spies. What do you make of that? What can we glean from that?
I think it's pretty clear that, and in fact, the FBI documents themselves speak to this, that Page was in fact targeted by the Russians for recruitment, dating back to this 2015 case, VEB Bank. So Jim Himes is absolutely right. He was on the FBI's radar long before he even entered the Trump orbit. And the only reason he was in the FBI radar, Aaron, is simply because the Russians were interested in him. That's the only reason the FBI was interested in. So this has very little to do with the Trump campaign, has very little to do with the Steele memo. It really predates both those things.
And the end game then for the Russians was what, do you think?
The Russians, look, the Russians, just like the Chinese, just like the Iranians, just like the North Koreans, part of what they do when they, as we saw in the indictment Friday, when they talk about, the Mueller indictment of the 13 Russians, when he mentioned that the Russians, quote, collect intelligence, that is spy speak for actually coming in and recruiting people. So, look, they saw someone who potentially had access to them, and I think that they do what they do, which is try to recruit them. Nothing illegal about that. That happens, unfortunately, all too often.
So this memo also says that the FBI was also already involved in a counterintelligence investigation. They were looking at a covert influence campaign by the Kremlin. Was this sort of a spy versus spy type of operation here?
I think that's actually a pretty good way of describing it. You know, we focus on the trolls, we focus on this idea of collusion, a concept that I've felt does not quite fit the right descriptor for this. At the end of the day, Aaron, look, what Russia seeks to do is to target and recruit individuals in the United States to either A, collect intelligence, to spy for them, or B, to be access agents, people who are in a position of trust and confidence that can essentially act as Russia's agent in influencing things like policy.
Naveed, I want to ask you, too, about the FBI security clearance process. The Washington Post reporting that 2 weeks ago, a top Justice Department official told the White House that there are issues with Jared Kushner's application. What do you think is likely holding up his clearance? Can he pass a background check that he needs for top secret access?
I think the short answer is likely he cannot pass that. And I think what is holding it up is that to give him a clearance, the FBI would actually have to say that everything Jared Kushner has done year to date, up to today, passes the sniff test. And we know that it's very likely that Bob Mueller is looking at things like the Trump Tower meeting, that Bob Mueller is looking at things like Jared Kushner's outstanding $1+ billion loan. So unless those things are resolved, which there's no way that they can be done until Bob Mueller says they are, it's unlikely he's going to qualify for security clearance. And if he doesn't qualify for security clearance, very simply, Aaron, he shouldn't be sitting in a position that gives him access to that information. It's just not appropriate.
So we've also been watching a bit of an unusual development involving Ivanka Trump in South Korea earlier today. It seems like she was put in a bit of an awkward position as you look at some of the photos here. She's seated fairly close to the North Korean General Kim Young-chol there, a former military intelligence chief. One photo, you actually see her sort of facing him as well. U.S. General Vincent Brooks, just one seat away from Kim. How much thought do you think went into this and the positioning of all that?
It's a terrible idea. I mean, look, when I was active working for the FBI, working against the Russians, one of the things that I sought to do in discussions with the Russians was I was applying to become an intelligence officer in the United States Navy. And much of my time was spent convincing the Russians that once I entered that office, I would have extreme value to them. I'm very concerned that someone like Jared Kushner, someone like Ivanka Trump, who don't take a salary, but instead use the office in a way that perhaps benefits them. That is something that a foreign intelligence service can manipulate. So when I see Ivanka Trump going to South Korea and essentially inserting herself into this for no good reason, she has no diplomatic experience, she has no government experience, she's not an ambassador, she should not be doing this. It's an affront to the South Koreans. Why are they pushing themselves into the spotlight? Why are they seeking to take these positions? It concerns me that they're looking to take advantage of that office to enrich themselves, and I think that should trouble a lot of people.
All right, Naveed Jamali, we always appreciate your analysis. Thank you, sir.
You got it.
Arming teachers, good idea or not? An Army veteran